Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Charlie, Imani, thank you so much for your time. Welcome to Popternative.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
No problem. Charlotte, this is interesting because I feel like, does it feel sometimes like you're working on two shows in regards to one thing it's about video games and the other regard it's not about video games at all? Does it feel like that sometimes?
Well, look, I think that the show in general is very much about creative collaboration as a whole. So it's set in that video game world, but it's also about if you've ever tried to make something that you care about with someone else, you're probably going to relate to what we're talking about in the show. But also, in terms of sometimes feeling like I'm working on two different shows, I remember even back in season 1, a day that we were shooting, I can't remember what the scene was, but I was just yelling and crying all day. And I remember at one point being like, I did think that we were making a comedy. But poor old Poppy is just such a mess. You'll see it again in season 3. She's all about the highs and lows.
So that's interesting because Imani, that's my next question. So you look at this, it's a comedy. There's a lot of laughs, but we've kind of established that, there's a lot kind of happening. There's a lot of emotions at play. Characters are going through a lot of stuff as well. Specifically with comedy, do you kind of look at comedy with like a serious undertone lens sometimes where like there are the laughs, but like there's a lot of self-reflection, there's a lot of growth? I'm curious about that specifically.
Yeah. Well, one, I want to say yes to your energy. You're bringing it.
Yes.
Love.
Thank you.
One of my favorite things about comedy is, yes, you want to be able to laugh at what you're seeing, but you also want to find the humanity in and see yourself as well. And I think Mythic Quest does that very, very well, because this isn't a show just about video games. It's about these relationships, and these people are building this massive thing together,
A legacy.
Yeah, a legacy. And how do you navigate that and make people laugh, but also make them cry sometimes?
Yes.
Absolutely. That interests me then, because Charlotte, I find one of the things about this workplace comedy, as an actor, a storyteller, what is the mindset working on an ensemble cast, knowing that your character is going to cross paths with a lot of different characters and have specific relationships? Like, I always found that interesting from a mindset perspective.
Yeah, I mean, firstly, what a relief. Like, being in an ensemble that's this talented is nothing but a joy, because it means that every time you pick up a new script and you see who you might be working with that day. Sorry, I do look at the scripts in advance of the day that we shoot them, but when I look at a script and I think, oh, in 4 weeks after I've done all my prep, I'll be working with that person that day, there's this sort of, I don't know, this potential of like, oh, well, what's going to come up in that pairing? And, ensemble comedies have always been my favorite kind of show, and it feels really exciting to get to work on one myself. And I also think that, this season you do get to see some new pairings. Imani and I have a really fun storyline together where Dana and Poppy kind of begin to come head to head a little bit.
Yeah, there's some connection there. They're unlikely pairing, but there are some similarities in a way where they kind of, Poppy dishes out all the shade, and then Dana's able to throw it right back at her.
And Poppy doesn't quite know what to do with that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Almost like a tennis match, right? Back and forth a little.
Yes.
Ping pong. We'll stay with the
The
video
only
games.
kind of relationship Poppy knows how to have.
Yeah.
And Imani, very, very quickly as well, ensemble cast, but kind of breaking it down more specific to like workplace comedy. What's your favorite thing about working on a workplace comedy, so to speak?
Well, working with all the actors, Charlotte, Danny Pudi, who I was a fan of beforehand, Rob and Ashley, everyone's so talented. And what's really nice too is it feels like a master class in a way where you are just collaborating together, where you never know what Charlotte's going to do the next take. She's always giving me something to play with, and that's my favorite part.
Imani's constantly cracking me up. Like, it is, you're right. I feel like I learn so much depending on who I'm working with.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Season 3 of Mythic Quest is going to be premiering November 11th on Apple TV Plus. Thank you both so much for your time. It was so great chatting with you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.